So this is the Montessori German resources pack called Rezepte, and I'm going to show you what you receive if you download this pack. So you'll have a sticker which you can use to label whatever you're going to be keeping your resources in. I use this A4 type of postage box to keep mine in. Then there are labels for each of the different activities in case you want to keep them in different envelopes. You'll be able to label them, or if you keep them in little boxes. So you'll have 3 sets of 3-part cards. If you're familiar with Montessori, you'll know what these are. If you're not, they're very simple to use. You have 1 set of cards which have the word and the picture on them, and then the children match up the cards that have just the pictures to them, and then they match up the words that go with them by checking. So they practice learning this vocabulary. So die Milch and die Haselnüsse. Then once they get used to doing it that way round, you can get them to do it the other way round. So they have just the cards with no writing on, and then they try to remember what each of those items was called. Das Wasser, die Butter, die Haselnüsse, and then they use the ones with the label on underneath to check to see if they've got them right. So that's their control of error. They're able to check their own work. So you have one pack which has all the ingredients on. Then you have another similar pack which has the equipment that you'll need for cooking on them. And that one is called Geräte, and they're labelled with the word nomina, which means noun, and you've got the noun symbol on there as well. And then there's another pack of 3-part cards which are the verbs, and they're used in exactly the same way, and they're again verbs that you need for recipes like to sieve, to decorate, to add, to cool down, to bake, etc. So once your child has become quite familiar with the vocabulary by using these cards, we can then have a look at the recipes, and we've got a recipe here for cupcakes, which is all in German, mainly using the vocabulary that they've learnt with the 3-part cards. So they can have a look at this. They can even have a go at baking it. That would be the ideal thing to do, is to have a go at baking these cupcakes using the recipe in German. There's also an activity which goes with this one. It's the same recipe, but it's separated into the different steps that are needed, and they try to put these steps in order. So they're just practicing reading and understanding the vocabulary of recipes, and then they use the ones with numbers on to check if they've got them in the right order. We also have a packet with numbers on, because when you're doing recipes they're going to need to understand larger numbers so that they can talk about how many grams are needed for the different ingredients. So in here there's an activity where you have the number as a digit on the left hand side and then a different number on the right hand side. So this one here says 19, so they have to then find the one with the digit 19 on. Just quickly trying to look through and find that one. There we go. So they put that next to it, a bit like dominoes. Then they've got 80, so they need to find the one with 80, and they can keep going until they've made the whole, until they've joined them all together, and then if they've done it right it will link back around to the first one. There we go. And then they've got 70. So that's just a bit of practice to help them know how to read and understand the German numbers. So once they've done this first recipe, they can have a look at the next one. This one is called Mark Foster Muffins. Now you can, the link to a YouTube channel that has these recipes on is also provided. And if you go on there, you'll see two German sisters making these recipes together. And they're native German speakers, and they speak nice and clearly so that we can understand them. So it's a really good idea to log on to there and to actually watch German children making these recipes. This one here is called Mark Forster Muffins. Mark Forster is a German pop star, one that the children on the video like. So you can also hear them talking about him, and maybe there's a research opportunity there to go and have a look at some of his songs that he's written in German and find out a little bit more about him. Then we have a poem that your children could use for handwriting practice. Maybe they'd like to learn it off by heart. This is a very common German like nursery rhyme poem, which all the young German children know. And again, it has all the different vocabulary for baking cakes on there. And this one here is a sheet that can help your child to express their opinion on different kinds of foods. So ich finde, and then they would think of one of the different items, maybe Schokolade. Ich finde Schokolade lecker. So they can use the structures on here to build themselves sentences to give opinions about the food that they've learned how to say, or they can look up some different items of food that they want to talk about and use the card there. So, wie findest du? What do you think of Schokolade? Ich finde Schokolade ekelhaft. I don't think there'll be very many of them saying that. So then they can all say, ich esse gern, ich esse nicht gern. I like to eat, I don't like to eat. Schokolade schmeckt mir. Chocolate is tasty to me. Just means, again, another way to say I like chocolate. Denn es süß ist, because it's sweet. Or you can use weil es, denn es ist süß, because it's sweet, or weil es süß ist, again meaning because it's sweet, but there's a change here in the word order. And again, down the bottom here, how to say that they're vegetarian or vegan or have allergies to different things. And then lastly, you have these two cards here. So die Zutaten, the ingredients. The children play a game with this one. So they can say, für diesen Kuchen braucht man Milch. And then somebody else who's working with them, their partner or maybe a parent or a teacher, für diesen Kuchen braucht man Milch und Schokolade. And then they keep telling them over. It's just like the my grandmother went shopping game. Für diesen Kuchen braucht man Milch, Schokolade und Zucker. And they can keep going and seeing how many of the different ingredients they can say in a row. And on this one as well, once they are confident with that, they can start to add on quantities as well. So they could say, für diesen Kuchen braucht man ein Glas Milch. Für diesen Kuchen braucht man ein Glas Milch und 30 Gramm Schokolade. And they would keep going, but each time adding on a quantity of the ingredient that they've chosen to add as well. And then for die Zubereitung, that's the method, you can use the verb cards together with them, together with the noun cards. And you could say, for example, zuerst sieht man, and maybe we can find a picture of the flower. Where's it gone? Zuerst sieht man das Mehl und dann und dann die Schokolade schneiden. Also zuerst das Mehl sieben und dann die Schokolade schneiden und dann die Kuchen backen. So to bake, so they can make up their own recipes. They could be real ones or they could be funny ones, but it's just having a go at practicing saying the sentences and remembering them.